Hi everybody, welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I am Jeannie Nielsen, the card lady, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. This week, I have been talking all about my Brushed with Beauty, beautiful designer series paper. And this week's card class features that. It also, coincidentally, was similar to cards that I used for my retreat. I did change one of them up a little bit, so I hope you'll enjoy that. I'm going to show you those cards in just a second. But first, let me show you this designer paper. I think I'm actually already going to go down and so that you can see the beautiful paper and the card that we're going to make today. Today's card is a fancy fold card. It's not a card that you'll see in class. It's not a card that we've made yet, but I wanted to showcase this designer paper and the stamp set that coincides with the Brushed with Beauty designer paper. It is the Petals of Beauty. There's also the Words of Beauty, which I'm not using for today's cards, although I did use it for card class. So much in this beautiful suite. We have the beautiful Pearls of Beauty. Everything is beautiful. That's what I wanted to tell you. Let me flip up to flip down, and then I'm going to show you this week's card class, and then I'm going to show you the card that we're going to make today. Okay, so we're going to go up. Sorry if I make you dizzy. I'm going to flip this, and let's look at the designer paper. This is 12 by 12 designer series paper. I just wanted to grab the cards that we're making in card class so I could show you those cards as well, although you did see it in a post. Hopefully you can see this. Let's go down a little bit and zero in. Over here are my measurements that I'm going to share with you when we make the card. But let's first look at this beautiful designer series paper. So there's lots of colors in here. I would say Calypso Coral, Petal Pink, Crumb Cake, Vanilla. There's some Darling Duckling. I didn't really focus on that too much. There's a little bit of Early Espresso. There's definitely Mossy Meadow. Beautiful colors. So this is the fronts of the papers. You can see all that. So pretty. And then there's our last one. And I'll flip it over so you can see the back. And we've got our stripes, we've got our Darling Duckling. I chose to turn this over because I thought the petals muted tones matched better to the front. We've got Mossy Meadow muted tones, we've got Calypso Coral, we've got, this actually looks more like Lost Lagoon, and I didn't focus on that at all. Maybe a little bit of Pretty Peacock, and then of course more Crumb Cake. One of these, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to share the calendar that I made for everybody for the retreat. And it was a beautiful calendar, and it also used this paper. But let's look at this week's cards for card class. I'll put the link in the description and in the comments so you can still sign up for it. I changed this one up. It had been a Calypso Coral card on Petal Pink, and instead I decided to put it on Mossy Meadow and Soft Seafoam. So it's a 3-panel card. You could easily change this to Mossy Meadow. I didn't because the only thing I changed was the mat and the card base. Beautiful beige ribbon goes very nicely with this. This is our second card that we made at retreat and we'll be making in card class this week. We've got the gold foil accents, which are so pretty. This I did with Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. And this flower here is Crumb Cake on Petal Pink. We've got some die cuts, like I said, the gold foil accents. This one is Darling Duckling, and I stamped it with Pecan Pie. So that's that card. Just love that one, and it just accents all the flowers that you see behind there. This is my third card. We have the textured brick folder, exposed brick 3D folder, that's what it's called. I have 2 panels that I kind of did kitty corner, a nice die cut, and this is the Words of Beauty that I was talking about. And the one thing I would say with the Words of Beauty, if you're going to die cut, especially the top more detailed dies, you don't necessarily need it for the bottom. You've got plenty of room to put your mini dimensionals or whatever, but the top you're going to want to use your adhesive sheets. So I hope you like these 3 cards. And let me show you now the card that we are going to make today. And like I said, this card is not part of card class. This is just a special to showcase the designer paper. It's a fancy fold card. I almost wish I had put it on vanilla and used crumb cake here. I think that would have been too much though. So anyway, this is our card. We open it to expose another mini card. I could easily put a die cut here along with the label, but I did not have time, so I did not do it. And I don't honestly feel that this designer paper needs anything extra, so I didn't add anything there. I'm going to share the measurements in just a second. And inside we have our message, and I used the Prayers and Promises stamp set for that. So let me talk about this card a little bit as we make it, and I'll show you the dies. So first we're going to start, let me put this here so hopefully you can see it. Let me see if you can see that. Of course not. Hi, Joanne. I'm showcasing a little bit. Okay, I'm going to hold it up for just a second, and you can take maybe a screenshot of that if you want to make this card. It's not a very clear, I guess I should have used a marker. Anyway, we're going to start with our crumb cake card base. And this crumb cake card base, let me move back up a little bit here. There we go. We are going to make our card out of 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 inch DSP. Nope, cardstock. This is crumb cake cardstock, 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. And you're going to score it at 5 1/2 inches. If you want to think of this as a regular card, you could do 4 1/4 by 11 inches and cut off half, which is 2 3/4 off of the bottom. So it's 4 1/4 by 8 1/4 inches, and we've scored in the regular usual place at 5 1/2 inches. Next, we are going to add a little die cut. And where did I put that little die cut? Oh, it's right in here. This is a new folder. Look at all the detail on here. It's the Stone and Vine 3D embossing folder. Looks like this. It's a small folder. It's not big, but boy, does it pack a punch. You can see all the detail of the leaves here. So pretty. And then the stone is kind of the background, which I love. It's similar to the card that I was showing you here with the exposed brick in the background here. So this piece is 2 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and it's just going to layer right here on the front. So let me just attach that to the front. I've already done the embossing. Remember, when you are doing your embossing with our embossing machine, you are going to put a 3D folder on just the platform. Then you're going to put your cardstock inside your folder, and this is a very thick folder, and then you just used your gray plate on top of that. And that's going to give you the perfect amount of resistance so that you can have a perfectly embossed image. Okay, so I've done that. The next thing I'm going to do is I have this piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. It is, as you can see here, 3 3/4 inches by 10 inches, and it's scored at 5 inches. So it's going to be scored in half, 3 3/4 inches wide. We are going to layer that inside here. Let me get my bone folder and give it a nice crisp fold. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. There we go. 3 3/4 inches, and it's going to layer right here on the inside, just like that. 3 3/4 inches by 10 inches, scored at 5 inches. So I'm gonna lay it like this, because every time I score it, nothing is exactly perfect. So you can see a little bit of an edge. I like to show that underneath, because nobody's going to be able to say, oh, it's not perfect. If you have it on top, they can say that because they can see it and compare it. So anyway, I'm just adding my glue right here, and I'm going to layer that right here in the center of my inside. And this is going to be essentially my mini card. Really quick and easy card to do. There's just layers, and if you have them already cut, it's simple. Okay, so we've already got our front. We've got our mini card. The next thing I'm going to do is the vanilla inside here. And I told you that I use the Prayers and Promises stamp set. It is actually from a $1 Million Achiever. Oh, Carol Nordquist. I actually know her. Beautiful, beautiful sentiments. If I was going to make my own stamp set when I hit 1 million, which is going to be never, I would do something like this. So she's done the work for me. I'm so thankful to her. Now I don't need to hit the 1 million because I might be 95 before I do. I'm actually only about 12,000 away from 300,000, so we are getting there. But it still takes me about 5 to 7 years per 100,000. Okay, so I use this sentiment here, keeping you in my thoughts, holding you in my heart, remembering you in my prayers. So pretty, such a pretty sentiment. It really says what I wanted to say. I'm going to stamp that with Mossy Meadow ink on my insert before I adhere it inside. So we have here, I just re-inked it again because I don't know what's up. Make sure, and the nice thing about these photopolymer stamps is that you can actually see if you're going to stamp it right side up or not. I'm going to put that right there, just like that. Okay, now I'm going to layer this inside. Oh, don't look at, I actually used this as a piece of scrap paper and I pulled it out of my bin. I can do that for me. I don't do that for my card people. But I'm going to just layer this right inside. And you know what I found was putting this right up to the fold there makes a perfectly, makes it pretty even. There we go. Okay, there we go for that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, oh, you know what I forgot is my DSP. I cut it and I did not bring it over. Here's my DSP. This is the one I chose. I just love this. This is the same one that I used for the calendars. Is it the same one? Yeah, it's the right piece. I was a little worried. Okay, my DSP, oh, I didn't write that down actually. My DSP is going to be 3.5 inches, nope, 3 5/8. I'm just measuring this on my glass mat by 4 3/4. And I'm going to layer that right there on the front. So let me do that real quick. You're just going to layer that just like that. Beautiful. So already we've got so much to our card. I'm going to add a little bit more. As you can see from here, I actually did a die cut and a mat, and I added some stamps. So let's do that next. I've got my textured note die cut, and this is actually, I wrote it down here, 2 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and I'm going to mat that on my Mossy Meadow, which is 2 1/4 by 3 3/4 inches. Here, once again, are my measurements if you want to take a screenshot, if that works for you. Hopefully it does. The only thing I didn't write down here was the DSP. Okay, I'm going to first stamp my textured note rectangle, which I've already die cut. I chose for this card to put my stamps on my Stamparatus, and I apologize to all of you that don't have a Stamparatus. It is the best invention, and I'm just so sad that they don't carry it anymore. But if you do have it, this is your I would do this. So let me just tell you, when I do this, I die cut my dies, and then I lay my stamps upside down within the die cuts, and then I close the cover to figure out where it's supposed to go. I also figured out, I have, let's see, where are my flowers? Here they are. They're inside my bin. I already die cut some very vanilla flowers. And the biggest thing that you have to do with this is figure out how it fits in your puzzle. and it's not very hard. I'm going to do that same with this one, and we can stamp them at the same time. So we're just laying that inside. I found with my Stamparatus, I like to use a Stampin' Spot. It just gives me a little bit more ink, and not to mention the fact that I had to re-ink my big foam pad. But I just find it's a little bit easier to control. Just make sure, I don't know if you just saw what I did right here. Right here, it kind of looks like I have lines because of my spot. It's not very big. What you need to do is make sure that you tap around enough so that you don't have the line of your ink spot. I think that's going to work well, and we are going to do our best. What I'm going to do is close this, and I don't have anything, I've seen people that have had like these pressure things to actually give a little bit of pressure. Sorry guys, I don't have anything fancy except my hands. And here we go. We've stamped our flowers. Not bad, considering that I'm human when I'm laying down my stamps upside down. So let me move that out of the way. Generally speaking, they're pretty good. Oh, and I have one more die cut I forgot. Where's my last die cut? This is also from the Petals of Beauty. It doesn't have a matching stamp, it's just a die. Look at how pretty that one is. Isn't it so pretty? Okay, so we are going to put that on here, on our textured note rectangle. Sorry, there's always something that I'm losing. That's just me. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. You don't have to do a lot. I'm just going to do dots on these leaves and one on the stem. I don't need to do too much in case I actually overlap, and I do like to overlap my die cut a little bit if it's not going to be sticking outside of the card and hitting the envelope. I like to overlap my die cuts. Just, it looks a little bit more realistic. I'm going to put this one here, I think, something like that. I'm going to apply ink directly to that. I'll put it right there, something like that. There we go. And then this one, I am going to pop up with a dimensional or two. Just get my dimensionals here. And we are almost done with this card. That's how easy it is. I wish I had done a little bit more ink there. When you have the Stamparatus, this is your chance to add more ink. I should have gone back and added more ink and done it again. But it is what it is because I just put dimensionals on there. Let's just put it right there. And then I'm going to use my stamp. This is You've Been on My Mind. It's a stamp actually that's part of the Petals of Beauty. Let me show you these real quick. These are the stamps, the Petals of Beauty stamps, and I've layered both. This one actually has a solid, large and small, and then detailed large and small flower. Same, these are the insides for these little clusters of flowers. There are some little leaves here, other leaves. There's another leaf that you could use, whatever you want to do. And then these are the matching dies, the Petals of Beauty dies, and they're really pretty. I love this one. This is the one that I did with the gold foil on one of the cards. But it'll cut out all of your images, but it will also cut out some detailed dies. That's a detailed one that you could cut out. So, and layer on top if you wanted to. Okay, let's stamp. Oh, this is from the Words of Beauty. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is from the same suite, Words of Beauty. You've Been on My Mind. I forgot, Petals of Beauty is just flowers. There are no words or sentiments. Let's stamp that, just like that. Hi, Anne. So good to see you. We've been trying to connect for a while, and between travels for both of us and illness and you name it, things going on, we just haven't been able to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just adhere my rectangle to my mossy meadow. You know how I just add a little bit of glue to the back, and I'm going to center that top and bottom, left and right, as much as I can. And the next thing I'm going to do, the very last thing that I have to do to make this card complete, I'm just going to attach it right here to the front. So you notice that I don't want it to keep this card closed. We want to be able to open this card and see all the beautiful layers. So we're only going to add adhesive to the top half like that. Just like that. And I'm just going to center it on my card. And voila, this card is just about done. You do know what it's missing, right? It's missing a little bit of embellishment. I really wish I'd done better here. You know what you do if you haven't done a great job with that and you want to color it in? You take your blender pen, you squeeze your ink pad really, really good. You take your blender pen and you pick up that ink, and you can use your blender pen and color in and do a better job if you want. And that's a pretty good match to your ink that you stamped. I tried to color with markers one time. It's not the same. The blends are not the same. It's not the same tone, although it is so close. The best thing you can do is a blender pen, one of our regular blender pens, and pick up the ink and just add that here. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do, if I can find my Pearls of Beauty, I could do any color. And before I did this crumb cake, maybe I'll do white this time, just for a little bit of a different accent. I'm going to take your pick. I don't know how it's going to look. If worse comes to worse, I'm going to just add that right there in the center. It doesn't look terrible, but if I wanted to, I could add some ink to those pearls because they are, sorry, I've got some excess scraps of something here. I could add some color to those pearls, and I do it on the sheet before I actually put it on my card. I could use one of my Stampin' Blends and add some color and change the color to whatever I wanted to. I could do a mossy meadow for the center again. You could do, Early Espresso is not a Stampin' Blend that we carry, but you could probably use one of the flesh tones, like the Stampin' Up! 100 or 200, and use that to color your pearls, and that would add some color, some very dark color. But anyway, that's my card. I hope you love it. Just like that, and there's your inside. A very easy card, and it showcases this beautiful Brushed with Beauty DSP. So thank you for joining me. If you think that you've actually maybe need to get your eyes checked because that's a little bit of seeing double, you're not seeing double. I did as perfect as I could to restamp it because I had to re-ink my ink pad because it was so faint. But obviously, as good as I could is still not perfect. Okay, let me flip back and tell you I'm so glad that you joined me, and I'm so glad to see you. Let's connect very soon. I might put you to work. I have to do a big swap this weekend. So that's my work. So maybe Saturday afternoon you can come join me while I'm doing that. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all soon. And I'll show you a picture of the beautiful calendar I made using this paper. Talk to you later. Bye.